Day 3 without power. You haven't showered. The fridge smells like a science experiment. The flashlight batteries gave up last night, so you're reading your phone in a sleeping bag, watching the battery bar creep toward zero like it's timing your death. You think, I should have been more prepared. And then, pop quiz, right now. What is the single biggest threat to your house when the grid goes dark for 30 days? Not your food, not your phone, not even heat. It's something most people will never think about until it's too late. And I'm saving it for the end of this video, because when you hear it, you're going to feel genuinely stupid that nobody told you sooner. Here's what this channel does differently. Most survival content is sold to you by people who want you to buy a $400 tactical water filter and a $1,200 freeze-dried food vault. This list isn't that. Every single item you're about to hear is backed by EPA documentation, USDA guidelines, CDC data, or peer-reviewed research. Real numbers, real agencies, real threats. Because the grid isn't as reliable as it used to be. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, American customers experienced an average of nearly 9 hours of power interruptions in 2024, the most in a decade. Driven mostly by hurricanes and major storm events. South Carolina customers lost power for an average of 53 hours. 53 hours! That's not hypothetical. That already happened to real people with real houses. 30 days? That's an extended scenario, but it has happened. Puerto Rico, rural Texas after Winter Storm Uri, Appalachian communities after severe ice events. It can happen to you. And when it does, your house starts dying in a very specific order. Let's walk through it. You didn't eat the leftovers fast enough. You know it, I know it, the fridge knows it. But here's the number that should disturb you. The USDA, that's the United States Department of Agriculture, states in their official Keeping Food Safe During an Emergency guidance that your refrigerator will keep food safe for up to 4 hours during a power outage, as long as you keep the door closed. 4 hours. Not a day, not overnight. 4 hours. Then you start pitching everything. Raw meat, poultry, fish, eggs, dairy, leftovers. Gone. Your freezer does better. A full freezer holds a safe temperature for approximately 48 hours, but only 24 hours if it's half full. The FDA confirms the same timeline. So here's what that means in practice. Most American households have somewhere between $150 and $300 in perishable food in their refrigerators at any given time. Day 1 of a 30-day outage, you've already lost that, unless you acted fast. The mainstream prepper community will tell you to buy a massive chest freezer and fill it with meat. Here's the problem with that advice. The moment the power goes out, that chest freezer becomes a countdown clock. All that food, gone in 48 hours. What you can do today: buy an appliance thermometer. They run about $10 at any hardware store, and keep it inside your fridge and freezer. The FDA and CDC both recommend this so you can make accurate decisions when power fails, instead of guessing. Also, know exactly where to buy block ice and dry ice in your area before you need it. The USDA notes that 50 pounds of dry ice should hold an 18 cubic foot freezer for 2 days. Don't wait for a storm to learn this. Speaking of things running out, wait until you hear what happens when your taps go dry. Turn on the faucet. Nothing comes out. About 23 million households in the United States depend on private wells for their water supply, according to the Water Systems Council. And every single one of those homes runs on a submersible electric pump, typically buried anywhere from 100 to 400 feet underground, running on 240-volt power. The moment your power cuts out, that pump stops. Permanently until power returns. Your pressure tank, that steel tank in your basement or utility room, holds somewhere between 20 and 85 gallons total. But here's what they don't put on the box. The usable drawdown is only about 1/3 of the total capacity. So if you have a standard 30-gallon pressure tank, you have roughly 10 gallons of running water before the taps go completely dry. That's maybe one toilet flush and a few minutes of careful faucet use. An average family of 4 uses approximately 400 gallons of water per day for indoor purposes, according to the Water Systems Council. 10 gallons against 400 daily gallons. Do that math. This isn't abstract, and municipal water customers aren't automatically safe either. If your city's pump stations lose power long enough, pressure in the network drops, and in some failure scenarios, low pressure can allow contaminants to backflow into the system. What you can do today: store at least 1 gallon of water per person per day, as recommended by FEMA and the CDC, and that's a bare minimum for survival-level hydration and sanitation. For a family of 4 over 30 days, that's 120 gallons. Start now. Also research manual hand pumps rated for your well depth. They're a one-time mechanical solution that requires 0 electricity. Now, you managed your food, you managed your water, but your basement is doing something you can't see. If you have a sump pump, and roughly 40% of American homes do, you have a pump that requires electricity to function. When the power goes out during a heavy storm, which statistically is exactly when power goes out, that pump goes dead. Basements sit below the water table. During heavy rain, groundwater rises, flows into the sump pit, and the pump is supposed to move it out. When the pump fails, the water rises, and it keeps rising. The cruel irony: sump pump failures most commonly occur during exactly the conditions that require them most: power outages from the same storm that's flooding your foundation. The damage? According to industry restoration estimates, a sump pump failure flooding a basement can cost $10,000 to $50,000 to remediate, depending on severity. That range includes structural damage to walls, flooring, and foundation, plus mold remediation, which we'll get to in a moment. Your standard homeowner's insurance policy probably doesn't cover it. Sump pump and water backup coverage is typically a separate endorsement. Optional, frequently skipped, deeply regretted. What you can do today: buy a battery backup sump pump. They run on a dedicated large battery and kick in the moment main power fails. Brands like Zoller make submersible cast iron backup units specifically for this purpose. Test it before you need it. Pour water into the pit on a dry day. Check the battery every 6 months. Replace it every 3 years. But here's the thing: the flooding is just the beginning of what water does to your house. Because where there is moisture, you can't see it yet, but it's already starting. The EPA is not subtle about this. Their official mold guidance states that if wet or damp materials are not dried within 24 to 48 hours, mold will grow. That's not weeks, that's 48 hours. The CDC echoes the same window. FEMA does too. Your air conditioning is off. Your dehumidifier is off. The circulation fans in your HVAC system? Not running. Warm, humid, stagnant air inside your walls, under your floors, behind your cabinets is the perfect incubator. And the most common indoor molds, Cladosporium, Penicillium, and Aspergillus, according to the CDC, are everywhere in the natural environment, just waiting for moisture. In a summer outage in a humid climate, think the Southeast, the Gulf Coast, the Mid-Atlantic, indoor humidity can climb above 70% within hours once air conditioning stops. Mold thrives above roughly 60% relative humidity. You do the math. Mold remediation costs vary wildly by extent, but a serious infestation requiring wall demolition and professional remediation can run $10,000 to $30,000 or more. And the EPA notes that mold damages what it grows on. It's not just a surface stain. It eats drywall, wood, insulation, and carpet. Important note from the CDC: dead mold is still allergenic. You can't just spray bleach and call it done. What you can do today: buy a battery-operated hygrometer. They cost under $15, and know your indoor humidity levels. If you lose power and conditions are humid, open windows strategically to promote airflow. Keep a small supply of desiccant packets or have a plan for a battery-operated portable dehumidifier. Pop quiz number 2. Your gas furnace is still connected to gas supply. Does it run during a power outage? No, it does not. Here's why. This one surprises nearly everyone who hasn't learned it the hard way. Your gas furnace does not run on gas alone. It needs electricity to power the thermostat, the electronic igniter, and most critically, the blower fan that actually circulates heated air through your ductwork. No power, no furnace, period. Heat pumps and electric furnaces, they stop the moment the grid goes down. Same result. So on day one of a winter power outage, your house immediately begins losing heat. How fast? It depends on your insulation, your local temperature, and your home's construction. In a well-insulated home in moderate cold, you might lose a few degrees per hour. In a poorly insulated mobile home with sub-zero temperatures outside, a scenario that happened across Texas in February 2021 during Winter Storm Uri, interior temperatures can drop to dangerous levels within hours. The Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety ranks burst pipes among the most common causes of property damage during cold weather events. Here's why. The critical threshold is 20 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Once outdoor temperatures drop to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, uninsulated pipes, especially those near exterior walls, in crawl spaces, attics, garages, or basements, enter genuine danger territory. Water expands when it freezes. The pressure inside a pipe can increase from a normal 40 pounds per square inch to as much as 40,000 psi. No pipe survives that. And the cruel physics twist. Pipes rarely burst at the ice blockage. They burst downstream, between the ice and the faucet, where pressure backs up. What you can do today: know where your main water shutoff valve is. Right now, go find it. If a deep winter power outage seems likely, drain your pipes, shut the main valve, open every faucet from the top floor down, and flush every toilet. This eliminates the water that would otherwise freeze and destroy your plumbing system. Let's pause. Look at what's happened to your house, and it hasn't even been a week. Your food is gone, your water's gone or dangerously low, your basement might be flooding, mold has already started, your heat is dead, and your pipes are at risk. And I haven't told you about the thing that will cost you the most money, or the one that could actually kill you. Because we're halfway through this list, and the second half is where things get genuinely dangerous, not just expensive. The mainstream narrative says, get a few flashlights and some bottled water and you'll be fine. You're about to understand why that is catastrophically incomplete advice. This one is personal for tens of millions of Americans. Insulin, certain antibiotics, some biologics, EpiPens stored improperly, a range of liquid medications, vaccines, and compounds that require refrigeration between 36 degrees Fahrenheit and 46 degrees Fahrenheit, the standard pharmaceutical cold chain range. The FDA recommends insulin be stored in a refrigerator at those temperatures. After the first vial or pen is opened, many types of insulin can be stored at room temperature, but room temperature assumes your room has temperature. In a summer outage, indoor temps can climb above 90 degrees Fahrenheit within days. Heat denatures insulin and degrades other temperature-sensitive medications, sometimes without any visible change to the product. According to the CDC, more than 37 million Americans have diabetes. A significant portion use insulin. A 30-day power outage is not a hypothetical for that population. It's a potentially fatal medication supply chain failure. Beyond refrigerated medications, the American Diabetes Association specifically recommends that people with diabetes have an emergency supply plan. Most people don't. What you can do today: talk to your doctor and pharmacist now, before an emergency, about shelf stability, backup supplies, and emergency dispensing options. Look into products like the Frio Wallet, a water-activated evaporative cooling case designed specifically for insulin that requires no electricity. A Frio Wallet costs approximately $20 to $40 and can keep insulin at safe temperatures for 45+ hours in conditions up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, using only water and evaporation. Now about something that will kill you faster than any of the above. You bought a generator. Smart. You're running it inside the garage with the door cracked? That's not smart. That's how you die. Carbon monoxide, CO, is odorless, colorless, and tasteless. You cannot detect it without a sensor, and it kills fast. The CDC states that carbon monoxide kills more than 400 Americans annually from unintentional poisoning unrelated to fires. The CPSC, in a report covering 2011 through 2021, estimates that about 85 people per year die specifically from carbon monoxide poisoning caused by gasoline-powered portable generators. The CPSC also found that 81% of those deaths occurred in residential locations, people's homes. Here is the finding that should disturb every generator owner. Between 2004 and 2013, only 15 of 526 carbon monoxide deaths caused by portable generators in homes occurred with the generator being used outside. Nearly all the rest were used indoors, in basements, garages, or attached spaces. A portable generator can produce more carbon monoxide than modern cars, not a little more, significantly more. The CPSC notes that a single portable generator can create a risk of CO poisoning that can kill in minutes. The CPSC, since 2007, requires warning labels on all portable generators. Those labels are not enough. People still die. What you can do today: install battery-operated carbon monoxide alarms on every floor of your home and outside sleeping areas, as recommended by the CPSC. Run any generator at least 20 feet away from your home, positioned so exhaust blows away from windows and vents. Never, ever run it in a garage, not even with the door open. If you're buying a new generator, look for models certified to PGMA-G300 2018 or UL 2201 standards. The CPSC estimates these standards can reduce generator-related CO deaths by 87 to 100%. Your generator kept you alive, but your house has a different problem growing in the dark. If you're on a septic system, and approximately 1 in 5 American homes are, according to EPA estimates, you have another electrically dependent system that is currently not working. Many modern septic systems use electric pumps. Mound systems, pressure-dosed systems, and aerobic treatment units all require electricity to distribute effluent. Without power, those systems back up. Sewage stops moving where it's supposed to go. In extended outages, this can mean sewage backup into your home through the lowest drain, typically a basement floor drain or a ground floor toilet. Raw sewage in your home is a Category 3 water intrusion event, the most severe classification used by the Institute of Inspection, Cleaning, and Restoration certification. Category 3 means grossly contaminated water carrying pathogens. Everything it touches, drywall, flooring, framing, and insulation, must be treated as contaminated. Remediation for a sewage backup event starts around $7 to $14 per square foot, according to industry estimates. In a finished basement, that adds up to tens of thousands of dollars quickly. What you can do today: know what type of septic system you have. If it's a conventional, gravity-fed system, you're probably fine through a short outage. If it requires a pump, find the system documentation or call your installer and ask. Then, severely minimize toilet and drain use if the power is out and you're on a pump-dependent septic system. Gray water goes a long way toward backing things up fast. The little green light on your keypad is gone. You notice this immediately. Most home security systems have battery backup, typically between 4 and 24 hours of standby power, depending on the system and how old those backup batteries are. After that, your system is offline, your sensors are dead, your cameras are dead, your monitoring company cannot reach your system. Here's the uncomfortable social reality. Historically, certain types of property crime increase in the aftermath of large-scale disasters and extended power outages. Not universally, not everywhere, but it happens. Looting after Hurricane Katrina, organized theft after extended outages in urban areas. Law enforcement is simultaneously overwhelmed during major grid events. Your $50 a month monitoring contract means nothing when the system is offline and the monitoring center is already handling thousands of silent alarms from your entire zip code. What you can do today: Test your security backup battery right now. Most modern security panels have a self-test function, or you can simply cut main power and verify the system stays armed. If the battery is original and more than 3 years old, replace it. Consider supplementing digital security with old-school physical security. Door reinforcement hardware like Door Armor, a real product using 16-gauge steel backing plates, deadbolt strike plates with 3-inch screws, and window pins. These cost under $100 total and require no electricity. We're almost at the mystery item, but first, one more damage multiplier you never considered. You bought the battery backup sump pump. You did everything right, or so you thought. Here's the quiet failure nobody warns you about. Standard backup sump pump batteries, wet cell lead-acid batteries, need to be replaced approximately every 3 years. Many manufacturers state this directly in product documentation. The batteries also need periodic charging maintenance. A backup pump that's been installed for 5 years and never had its battery tested is not a backup, it's a false sense of security. The same principle applies to UPS units, backup power from medical devices, and virtually any battery-dependent emergency system in your home. Lead-acid batteries self-discharge. They degrade. They fail silently. What you can do today, write the battery installation date on a piece of masking tape stuck directly to the battery. Set a recurring calendar reminder every 12 months to test it by cutting main power and observing whether the backup activates correctly. Replace at 3 years regardless of apparent condition. This is a $30 to $80 battery. It is not the place to gamble. Now, the mystery item, the one I teased at the very beginning. You thought the biggest threat was physical damage, pipes, mold, flooding, food. It's not. The single most financially devastating thing that happens during an extended power outage is something that unfolds quietly, invisibly, and with no dramatic moment you can point to. It's the destruction of your documentation. Here's what I mean. Your homeowner's insurance policy documents are on a PDF in your email inbox, which requires internet, which requires power or cell data. Your recent appraisal? On your laptop. Your contractor invoices for that kitchen renovation, the one that legally increases your home's insured value, also on your laptop. Photos of your possessions for an insurance inventory, phone, mortgage documents, cloud storage, all of it behind devices that need power and eventually internet connectivity. When you call your insurance company to file a claim for burst pipes, mold damage, a flooded basement, or sewage backup, the adjuster is going to ask you to document everything. Itemize your possessions, prove their value, demonstrate the condition of your home before the loss event. Without documentation, you are at the mercy of the adjuster's estimate, and the adjuster's estimate is typically calibrated to protect the insurer's bottom line, not yours. This is not speculation. This is why the field of public adjusting exists. The USDA and FEMA both recommend creating a home inventory as part of emergency preparedness. The Insurance Information Institute, a real industry trade organization, recommends a video walkthrough of every room in your home, stored off-site. The IRS, in Publication 584, has a worksheet for calculating casualty and theft losses, which requires you to know the cost basis of damaged items. What you can do today, right now before this video ends, walk through every room of your home and record a video on your phone. Open every closet, open every drawer, talk through the big items, make, model, approximate purchase price. Then do 2 things with that video. First, upload it to a cloud service like Google Drive or iCloud immediately. Second, email it to a trusted person outside your household, family member, friend, anyone with a separate email address in a different geographical location. Store physical copies of your key insurance documents, the declarations page, your policy number, your agent's emergency contact, in a waterproof document sleeve inside a fireproof box. These cost under $40 combined. This step costs you about 45 minutes and nothing else. But in the aftermath of a 30-day outage, when you're trying to claim $80,000 in property damage, those 45 minutes become the most valuable investment you ever made. Here's what this list actually reveals, and it's not about flashlights or freeze-dried food. Every single item on this list exists because we have built our homes around the assumption of infinite reliable electricity. Our pipes assume heat, our basements assume pumping, our food assumes refrigeration, our medications assume temperature control, our security assumes active monitoring, our documentation assumes connected devices. We don't think of electricity as infrastructure the way we think of roads or water. We think of it as ambient, like oxygen, just there, the way it's always been there. But the U.S. Energy Information Administration's data shows the trend line moving in the wrong direction. More hours without power year over year, driven by increasingly severe weather events on a grid that was largely built in the mid-20th century. The American Society of Civil Engineers gives U.S. energy infrastructure a C- in their infrastructure report card. This isn't doom scrolling, this is math. Preparation isn't about paranoia, it's about not outsourcing your family's safety entirely to a system that has already demonstrated it can fail. The most expensive disasters in history weren't the ones nobody saw coming, they were the ones everyone saw coming and nobody prepared for. Your house is not just a building, it's a system of interconnected dependencies, and the power grid is the dependency every other dependency depends on. When it goes down, not if, when, your house starts dying in a very specific order. Now you know the order.
If this video made you think about something you hadn't considered before, drop it in the comments. Which item hit hardest? Was it the 4-hour food window, the well pump, the generator CO risk, the documentation piece at the end? I read every comment. I build future videos around what you tell me matters. If you're not subscribed yet, hit the button. This channel doesn't sell gear. It doesn't have sponsorships from tactical brands. It runs on data and the belief that the most dangerous thing in a crisis is misinformation. Subscribe, share this with someone who would tell you to calm down, and go document your house tonight.